Right? Separation is also is a process that causes us fear or anxiety. Throughout our lives, we go into different stages of separation. If you want to look further, look into who? Come on, psychology major. Erickson. 8 stages of separation, right? Throughout our life, we're always separating from someone, from something, and so on and so forth. And that, in a way, creates a certain sensation of anxiety and fear. Many times, it pushes us to actually do something better. And we need to remember that when we date people. By developing a certain sense of a defense from those things, from separation, where in that development of this defense, we basically developing we're developing a sense of, let's say, lack of dependency on the image in which we are separating from. We develop dependencies when we know, whether it's your mother, right? As a child, that you always seem to satellite your mother, in certain ages, let's say up to like 6 months or even 2 years old, when you separate from your mother, from your dependency on the image that is called your mother, until that point you see yourself as a satellite of your mother. And then you need to separate. And that's why we have the terrible twos, That's the stage of terrible twos when the kids start defining themselves. As no, everything is no, no, no. The favorite word is no, 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 no. Because it's developing that sense of separation. And then there is the separation from the father, and that's why when you become a teenager, you go bang, bang with your father head to head all the time, and so on and so forth throughout the stages of your life. But in a relationship that we date someone, especially on a long time, again, Rabotai, that's why I'm very much against dating for a long time. I'm very much against it because, first of all, it's not fair. I'm going to tell you something. Let's talk about secular life. Those people who live together and they're not willing to tie the knot, both boys and girls, men and women, I think it's very wrong and it's very selfish. Very selfish. And I'm not just talking from the point of taking advantage of the other person sexually and so on and so forth. In other words, you don't have to worry much. You have somebody there. You don't have to put any effort if you want to sleep with someone. I'm not even talking about this. But let's say you date somebody for let's say even 3 years. And something happens to you. That person that was the most loyal to you, stayed with you, and you kind of pretend that you're living together, is going to be left with nothing. And it's not fair. Now, if you want something, you buy it, right? You make the effort to buy it. You make sure it's yours. Otherwise, you call it mooch, right? But when it comes to this, it's okay. That's why dating for a long time is a recipe for disaster. Dating for a long time becomes very difficult for anybody to keep shomer negiah, and usually is a recipe for a quick divorce right after, or some at least difficulties in your marriage life. Because imagine you dated for 8 months. So what you gotta do for 8 months? How much can you talk for 8 months? I mean, you gotta keep this date going. So when you're dating, okay, so how are you, what you like, what you don't like, what's your ashkafa, what's this, what's that. Some dates that you don't talk about it, some dates you talk about it, and then you make up your mind and you go, yes, yes, no, no. I mean, you gotta leave something to talk about when you're gonna get married, right? Otherwise you run out of subject to talk about. Why you gotta talk to your wife about Rab Chaim over there? What you gotta talk to her about? So, islands and gufa, and what are you gonna talk to her about? It's not right? And all of a sudden, she's going to give you like a stira on the Rambam, and you feel like an idiot because she knows more Torah than you. It's terrible, right? Yeah. Right? So, those things are bad. The relationship is basically reaching a certain climax, and there's nothing there. So, what are you going to do? You're going to start playing baseball, first base, second base, home run, where are you going to go with this thing? And that's wrong halachically, and it's wrong morally. Leave halach. I'm talking to you even to a goy. It's wrong morally to do that. It's wrong. So what are you going to do? So let's say you force it. All of a sudden he says, oh my goodness, listen, I'm dating this person for 6 months. I really have nothing to talk about. I don't know. Everybody's telling, no, when you're getting married, no, when you're getting married, no. So you throw in an engagement. So, okay, oof. So you get busy like a month taking care of the engagement party and the vort and the l'chaim and all kind of stuff that is made up and it's so crazy to do. Right? You make a l'chaim, goodbye, good luck. Set yourself for a date, month and a half max, and you're up for the races. That's it, finished. In England, I think it goes seven dates. That's it. You get married. Yes, no. Allah shalom. Getting married. That's it. I mean, so what do you do in a relationship? So then what happens? They get married, and all of a sudden they realize that this is not for me. I made a mistake. So they go to the rabbi. Rabbi, we have a problem. Rabbi, we have a divorce. Rabbi, we have this. Right? And then so comes the Chacham Rabbi who went to school of nothing. And so, oh, the Shema, he plays psychologist, put the psychologist, with a hat like this, and Ziggy Frog on the sofa with a cigar in his hand, and you should have a baby. So those that have a baby, they go having a baby, right? There's excitement, baby is coming, and then 9 months after the baby comes, excitement, Brit Milah, Kol Sason V'Kol Simcha, Brit Milah, Yofi. 3 months after that, the downfall again. It's like sugar highs, up and down. So what do you do? Go on vacation. And then come back, fights, argument. Go to the rabbi say, you think you should have a baby. They have another baby. Until one point, the guy says, that's it, babies, no babies. I already got 4 kids. I can't do it. Goodbye, good luck, I'm gone. And then what happens? He marries another person? The same thing. So you make a lot of miserable people out there. So when you start dating this whole entire thing, you have to understand what is happening inside of you. You should be aware of what could happen to you as well. And therefore, if you're a wise person, you could take those necessary steps to do so. And that is a certain maturity. Therefore, dating is not a factor of age rather than maturity. And if your parents haven't done a good job making you into a mature human being, you have no business dating. I'm sorry to say that. I don't care. Crisis of Am Yisrael. Hashem Yazolanu. I mean, we need kids of divorced parents, and that's how we're going to keep them from? The parents should become more mature, more responsible in educating the kids. Give them a little bit more freedom. Don't be such control freaks. Guide them. Give them the parameters, and the kid will do what he needs to do. But you need maturity for that. And they don't require maturity, because that maturity will develop this way to actually acknowledge that you're a separate entity from the other person. Otherwise, you're going to substitute your mother for your wife. Or your wife for your mother, One mother goes out, another female figure comes in, and that's going to be your wife. And there's going to be the same interaction. And your interaction with your wife is not the same interaction as your mother. Hello, if you didn't realize that. You should have done interaction with your mother when you were, weaned. But it goes on to no end. And especially, that's why they make the jokes about the Jewish mother. The Jewish mother, she's like, the kid, 26 years old, 28 years old, she's still folding his underpants and doing laundry for him. No, don't do this, tatale. What tatale? Tatale already has white hair in different parts of his body. What tatale? He's already fat, it's like tatale, You need to grow. And that's a mistake that people make. It's a huge mistake that people make. And a person that doesn't have that, it's going to be a problem. You need to basically so-called, I would say, I wouldn't use the word deny, but kind of put to the side and realize its history. All those relationships in which you went through for, and you'll be able to create yourself a new reality, and new relationships where the other people are not present. Again, here comes the mother that never seemed also to give up on her little edifice, right? She saw edifice him, they became flat edifice, and then she's going to run his life together with his wife. And he says, it's okay, I don't see anything wrong with that. My mother is my best friend. I think you should go to a shrink if you think like that. and then the mother gets involved, and then the mother moves in with the kids or closer to the kids, and then she cooks for them, and she this for them, and she, enough. Let them grow through life, and so on and so forth. Because if you become an obstacle, so again, going back to dating. When you're unable, because of all those factors, deal appropriately with separation, you're going to become frustrated. You're going to become completely deprived from self-esteem, and then you're going to act upon it. You're going to act more in an aggravated way to increase your self-esteem, which is going to be fake. So you're going to buy yourself like a fancy Mercedes and think like that's going to do it for you, and it's not going to do it for you. And there are people who cannot take, for example, the pain of separation, and therefore they will try to erase it by coming into a new relationship. And that's, as we said before, that's going to be a mistake, because usually they end up as a failure, because the new relationship is not a healthy relationship. It's not a healthy relationship. And that relationship usually comes from the fear of not being alone. People don't want to be alone, so they date someone. And they don't want to make a commitment, so they always find what's wrong with the other person as well. So they don't want to commit, and they do so. They can't get rid of thinking about their ex, even though if it takes a long time, and then becomes and they don't develop a certain dependency on the new person, therefore forming a certain relationship, and becomes a problem. Therefore, a person, first of all, before he starts dating and so on, he should really learn to enjoy himself by himself. There's nothing wrong with being alone a little bit. If you are dating because you don't want to be alone, you have a problem. Get yourself a poodle, don't get yourself married. Okay, or grow bees or something like that. But you should go alone and do some things alone. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with you, going on a trip alone. Go to Wyoming alone. Go to Glacier Park alone. You don't need no friends. Go alone. Start learning to enjoy yourself. If you cannot enjoy yourself, how could you tell me that somebody would enjoy you? You can't even stand your own self. Why should somebody stand you? Right? Makes sense, right? And if you separated and you still have pain, you have to what's the matter? You have to give yourself time to really process your pain and process everything that you go through. And you need to learn to acquire good lessons from that. You need to evaluate what you did wrong. And you also need to learn in yourself what are the elements that cause you satisfaction and what cause you nachat, what pleases you. And you should also increase your total knowledge of yourself. Very much so that you need to learn new things that not necessarily have to do with what you're particularly doing. Argument's sake, let's say argument's sake, you learn biology. So you know what, instead of biology, this is good, learn biology, but learn also, pottery. Learn something new that has nothing to do with what you're doing with your job or whatever it is you're doing, to increase your base. So you develop new things, so you could share it also. You have something to show for yourself. You need to understand that any separation is only temporary. The problem that people are not able to recover from that, and I know people like this. I knew this lady in Israel. She had a guy that dated for him for a long, long time. He died. She wasn't even married to him, and she refused to let go. I know few girls like this in Israel. One of them, we used to call them the unwed widow, because she mourned her guy, and she was way into her 40s until she was able to get married. It took her all the years. But you need to understand it's all temporary. And even that crisis that the person goes through separation, there's going to be a solution, and pain will go away eventually with time. And you should really try to smile more and be more positively involved with your time and yourself. And that's the most important thing. And we don't invest too much time, if any, in ourselves. We don't bother learning anything new. We think that this is it. We are dating for the wrong reasons. And most and above all, we really are afraid of ourselves. And we want somebody else to come in and solve our problems. And that's not the way it works. You have to be much more complete. You have to be mature and much more complete to date. If you are dating, set yourself certain marks. If it doesn't happen by X amount of dates, you call it off. You don't keep on dating, because then you're going to start reasoning. And when you reason, you're going to make a mistake. But you can only hide it for that long. You see something wrong, it's not for you, say it, act upon it. But in order for that, you need to first of all know what you like and what you don't like. What's important for you and what is not important for you. And I'll tell you what, it's not mommy's job. It's your job. Have a good day.
Okay. Yes. See.